Our story begins not with a scream, but with a hiss of steam. We are in the girls' locker room at Ewen High School. It is the end of gym class. The air is thick with the smell of sweat, teenage deodorant, and damp towels. There is the chatter of girls, popular girls, confident girls, talking about boys, about prom, about the future. And then there is Carrie. Carrie White is 17 years old, but in many ways she is a child. She is the chunky girl with pimples on her neck, the girl who wears clothes that are 2 sizes too big and 10 years out of style. She is the girl who looks at the floor when she walks. She is the perpetual victim, the social leper of Ewen High. She stands alone in the shower, scrubbing herself with a kind of desperate intensity. She is dreaming, perhaps, of being invisible. Suddenly, she looks down. Carrie doesn't understand what is happening. Her mother, a woman blinded by a terrifying religious madness, never told Carrie about becoming a woman. Margaret White called menstruation the curse of blood. She never explained biology. She only explained sin. So when the blood begins to run down Carrie's leg, swirling into the drain, Carrie thinks she is dying. She thinks her insides are falling out. "Help me," she screams. It is a raw, guttural sound. "I'm bleeding to death." The other girls stop. They look. And then the cruelty takes over. It happens like a chemical reaction. Chris Hargensen, the beautiful, spoiled, and vicious ringleader, snorts. "It's her period, you idiot." But Carrie is wailing, backing into the tile wall, sliding down in terror. The laughter starts. It starts as a giggle and turns into a roar. The girls surround her. They aren't helping, they are hunting. Someone throws a tampon, then a sanitary napkin. "Plug it up," Chris yells. "Plug it up, plug it up, plug it up." They chant it like a cheerleader's anthem. They throw pads at her wet, shivering body. Carrie is curled in a fetal ball, screaming in ignorance and terror, while the world laughs at her. The gym teacher, Miss Desjardins, bursts in. She blows her whistle, breaking the trance. She sees Carrie on the floor and the circle of wolves around her. She disperses the girls, but even she, an adult, is repulsed by Carrie's helplessness. She slaps Carrie, just once, to snap her out of the hysteria. "It's just your period, Carrie," she says. "Stand up." But as Carrie stands, something happens, something impossible. A light bulb overhead flickers. Then, with a sharp pop, it explodes. Glass rains down. Nobody notices the connection yet, but inside Carrie, a dam has broken. The terror has unlocked a door in her mind. To understand Carrie, you must understand the house she goes home to. It is a silent house. It smells of dust and votive candles. There is a large crucifix in the living room, but the Jesus upon it isn't the gentle shepherd. It is a Jesus of agony and blood. Margaret White waits for her daughter. Margaret is a woman consumed by the belief that the world is a cesspool of sin. To her, everything is sinful. Breasts are sinful. Boys are sinful. Changing into a woman is the ultimate sin. When Carrie comes home, shaken and fragile, Margaret doesn't comfort her. She sees the womanhood in Carrie, and she sees the devil. "And God made Eve from the rib of Adam," Margaret rants, her eyes wide and terrifying. "And Eve was weak and loosed the raven on the world." Carrie tries to explain. "Mama, I didn't know." Margaret drags Carrie to the prayer closet. It is a tiny cupboard under the stairs. Inside, there is only a blue light bulb and a picture of a saint with eyes that seem to follow you. Margaret forces Carrie inside. "Pray for forgiveness," Margaret screams. "Ask God to forgive your sin." She locks the door. Carrie is alone in the blue dark. She cries, she prays, but she also feels that strange thrumming in her mind again. She looks at the door. She doesn't want to be locked in. She wishes the door would unlock. Click. The lock slides back. Margaret didn't touch it. Carrie did, with her mind. Carrie stares at the door, her heart hammering. She realizes for the first time that she has a secret. She has a power. She is telekinetic, and for the first time in her life, she is not helpless. Back at school, the fallout begins. Miss Desjardins is furious. She wants the girls punished. She gives them an ultimatum: detention for a week or you are banned from the senior prom. For Chris Hargensen, prom is a birthright. She refuses the detention. She tells the principal to go to hell, and just like that, Chris is banned. She is furious. She blames Carrie. Her hatred hardens into something cold and lethal. She decides she will not just get mad, she will get even. But there is another reaction. Sue Snell, one of the popular girls who was in the locker room, feels something else: guilt. A heavy, sickening guilt. She realizes she was part of a mob. She wants to make it right. She wants to do something nice for Carrie White to balance the scales. Sue comes up with a plan that is kind but naive. She asks her boyfriend, Tommy Ross, the golden boy of the school, the star athlete, the prom king in waiting, to do the unthinkable. "Take Carrie to the prom," asks Sue. "Make her feel normal for one night." Tommy is reluctant, but he loves Sue, and he's a good guy. He agrees. While Sue is planning kindness, Chris is planning destruction. Chris recruits her boyfriend, Billy Nolan. Billy is bad news, a greasy, dangerous kid who drives fast cars and doesn't care about the law. Chris has a specific request. She wants pig blood, buckets of it. The scene where Tommy asks Carrie to prom is painful to watch. He finds her in the library. She is hiding behind a book. When he asks her, she thinks it's another trick. "Why are you doing this?" she asks, shrinking away. "They're going to laugh at me." "No one is going to laugh," Tommy promises. He is gentle, he is persistent, and slowly, like a flower that has never seen the sun, Carrie opens up. She says yes. For the next week, Carrie is transformed. She stands straighter. She smiles. She uses her telekinesis in her bedroom to practice, lifting hairbrushes, floating books, closing windows. She feels strong. She sews her own dress. It is a simple, crushed velvet gown in a pale, pale red. She looks in the mirror and sees a pretty girl staring back. But Margaret sees a whore. On prom night, the confrontation is violent. Margaret sees the dress and screams, "Red! I might have known it would be red!" She tries to stop Carrie from leaving. She tells Carrie that the devil is laughing at her. "They're all going to laugh at you," Margaret shrieks. "They're all going to laugh at you." But Carrie is done being afraid. She uses her mind to shove her mother back on the couch. "I'm going, Mama," Carrie says calmly. "And if you try to stop me, I'll knock you down again." She walks out the door. Tommy Ross is waiting. The prom is a kaleidoscope of crepe paper, disco balls, and loud music. It is the Ewen High gymnasium transformed into a wonderland. When Carrie walks in with Tommy, the room goes silent. Not because they are mocking her, but because they are shocked. Carrie looks beautiful. She is shy, yes, but she is glowing. For 2 hours, the story becomes a fairy tale. Tommy is kind to her. They dance. People talk to her. The teachers smile at her. Sue Snell, watching from the back of the room, she snuck in to watch, smiles with tears in her eyes. It is working. Carrie is happy. Then comes the vote for prom king and prom queen. Chris Hargensen has rigged the ballot box. Her friends have stuffed it with fake votes. The principal takes the stage. The music stops. And your prom king and prom queen are Tommy Ross and Carrie White. The applause is genuine. Tommy leads Carrie to the stage. She is trembling, weeping with joy. She accepts the crown. She accepts the flowers. She looks out at the sea of faces and thinks, "I was wrong. Mama was wrong. They like me." She stands in the spotlight. It is the happiest moment of her life. Above the stage, hidden in the rafters, Billy Nolan waits. He is holding a rope. The rope is attached to a bucket balanced on a beam. The bucket is filled with the cold, coagulated blood of 2 slaughtered pigs. Chris gives the signal. Billy pulls the rope. There is no sound as the blood falls. It is just a heavy, wet splat. It hits Carrie directly on the head. The red sludge drenches her. It ruins the velvet dress. It runs down her face, blinding her. It splashes on Tommy Ross. The music stops with a screech. For 3 seconds, there is total silence. The entire gym is frozen in shock. Carrie stands there, slick and red, looking like a sacrifice. Then the bucket, empty now, falls from the rafters. It hits Tommy on the head. The heavy metal kills him instantly. He collapses at Carrie's feet. Carrie wipes the blood from her eyes. She looks at the crowd. She is waiting for someone to help her. She is waiting for kindness. But the shock wears off, and the laughter begins. It starts with one person, then another. Then, the whole room. To Carrie's shattered mind, the laughter is amplified. It sounds like thunder. It sounds like the end of the world. She sees their mouths open, teeth bared. They're all gonna laugh at you. Something inside Carrie snaps. The part of her that was human, the part that wanted to be loved, dies. The power takes over. The doors to the gymnasium slam shut. Bam, bam, bam. People stop laughing. They try to push the doors open. They are locked tight, held by an invisible force. Carrie stands on the stage. She is not crying anymore. Her eyes are wide, vacant, and glowing with a terrible energy. She looks at the sprinkler system on the ceiling. Twist. The water sprays down. She looks at the electrical cables for the band's equipment. Snap. Water meets high voltage. Sparks fly. The speakers explode. A microphone feedback loop shrieks, shattering the glass of the trophy cases. A boy is electrocuted. The gym erupts into panic. Carrie descends the stairs. She walks through the chaos like a ghost. She flips tables. She sends fire hoses whipping through the air like sneaks, knocking people down. The fire starts. The crepe paper catches. The gym becomes an oven. The students are screaming, pounding on the doors, crushed against the exits. Carrie walks out the side door. She locks it behind her. She leaves them to burn. Carrie walks home. She is a figure of blood in the moonlight. She is not done. The rage is too big for just the school. It spills out into the town. She walks past the gas station. She looks at the pumps. Boom. A fireball erupts into the night sky, turning the street into day. She walks past fire hydrants. They explode, geysers of water tearing up the pavement. She pulls down power lines. They dance and spark on the asphalt. She is a walking natural disaster. She is Judgment Day. She is destroying the town that allowed her to be tortured. She reaches her house. She wants her mother. Margaret White is waiting. She sensed the evil. She knew this would happen. Carrie walks into the living room, soot-stained and blood-soaked. She collapses, weeping. She wants comfort. She wants to be held. "Mama," she sobs, "hold me." Margaret embraces her. She strokes Carrie's hair. It seems tender. "I should have killed you when you were born," Margaret whispers. Margaret lifts a kitchen knife. She plunges it into Carrie's shoulder. Carrie screams. She scuttles back, bleeding now from her own body, not just covered in the pig's blood. Margaret advances, the knife raised for the killing blow. She is reciting scripture, her eyes mad with holy purpose. Carrie reaches out with her mind. She doesn't want to do it, but she has to survive. She grabs the sharpest knives from the kitchen drawer. They float in the air, gleaming. Margaret lunges. Carrie throws her mind forward. The knives fly. They pin Margaret White to the wall in a grotesque mockery of the crucifixion. Margaret dies with a gasp. Carrie crawls to her mother's body. She pulls the body down. She curls up next to her dead mother on the bloody floor. The house, destabilized by the telekinetic storm, begins to collapse around them. Stones fall. The roof groans. Sue Snell enters the ruins. She has followed the trail of destruction. She finds Carrie in the wreckage of the house. Carrie is dying. Her heart is slowing down. Sue kneels beside her. She isn't afraid anymore. She reaches out to Carrie. And in that moment, because Carrie is dying and her mental barriers are down, their minds touch. Sue sees Carrie's life. She feels the pain of the tampons in the shower. She feels the hope of the dress. She feels the betrayal of the bucket. She feels the crushing, lonely sadness of being Carrie White. Carrie looks into Sue's mind. She sees that Sue never meant for this to happen. She sees that Sue's invite was an act of love, not hate. You didn't laugh, Carrie thinks. No, Sue thinks back. I never laughed. Carrie breathes her last breath. The blood stops flowing. The girl who could move the world is gone. The story ends with the town of Chamberlain in ruins, a scar on the map. It is a cautionary tale whispered in the dark. It is the story of what happens when you torment the weak, forgetting that everyone has a breaking point. And in the nightmares of the survivors, the message is always the same. Be careful who you hurt. You never know what power they might be holding back.